Arriving yesterday at the front door, the production version of the Elite Direto Smart Trainer, or the Direto as we like to refer to it as. I've had the pre-production version for a few weeks now. We've done the preview video on this. It's held up really, really well. It's my trainer of choice for the last 3 weeks. We had to give it a thorough testing, and we have. Myself and my wife, Veronica, she has quite a few trainers to choose from here. That one's been on the menu quite a bit. So today we go through the unboxing, the building, and we'll go for another ride on this unit, which may be a game changer down the cheaper end of the direct drive smart trainer market. First of all, this box. It's actually pretty sturdy. So the box test passed. Let's go through the specs of the unit first for all the details. Flipping over to the official spec sheet, we can see here the power meter is an optical torque sensor. Accuracy between plus or minus 2.5%. We saw in the pre-production version this was very, very good. The wireless transmission, AMP plus FEC, power, speed, cadence, and Bluetooth. One thing of note, these are also dual broadcast at the same time. Really, really handy for a few of us who do a few funky things indoors with multiple programs. Max slope 14%, that's more than enough for anyone climbing up a hill. Max power is quoted at 40 kilometers an hour, which will give you 1400 watts. But if you can crank up to 60 kilometers an hour with the flywheel, you'll get 2200 watts of resistance. More than enough for anybody, including Andre Greipel. What else do we have here? Compatible with my e-training software, which is from Elite themselves. We have Zwift, Trainer Road, BikeVo, KinoMap, Superfest. Anything that supports those standards will be right to go. Flywheel, 4.2 kilos. Flywheel's an interesting one, depending on the speed of the flywheel required, the gearing, the belts inside, but it's got good inertia. We'll talk more about that later. Standard across the board bike compatibility there, and also 142 by 12 through axle compatibility. I've done a video on that specifically on this trainer too, so I'll link below to how to convert these with the included kit that comes with. Size-wise, the Direto is quite a large unit. It takes the cake for length, width, and height compared to all the smart trainers on the market at the moment, but still much smaller than a standard bike wheel, so no problems there. And the legs fold up pretty easily. We'll go through that in a minute. The claimed weight of the unit itself is 15 kilos. The box itself, as shipped, came in at 19 kilos. Another thing of note is the trainer doesn't come with a cassette. So grab yourself one of those at the shop or order one online when you're ordering the trainer as well and get up and running. Today, I have an Ultegra 1125. I find 1125 is a good ratio indoors. Gives me everything that I need, and with the 14% resistance, 25 cassette on the back, good to go. Okay, let's finally get unboxing this thing. So here's the contents of the box. We have the unit and more boxes and all the goodies. Let's get rid of the boxes first. Aha, leg. Here are the 3 legs we need to bolt onto the bottom of this. In the bag here, we have the required bolts and the tools as well, which is super handy. Quick release, through axle kit, and the tools we need to get these legs on. Let's get that done first. We have 4 bolts for the 3 legs. The instruction manual is actually pretty good. So it's the short bolts for the center leg and the longer bolts for the outside leg. Two short bolts for the center leg. Two very similar legs. We need to make sure the flat section goes towards the inside. So that would go on that way. Perfect. Okay, the longer bolt this time. And the last leg. While I have this upside down, there are adjustable feet. So if your floor isn't quite level, you've got that covered there. And we need to unscrew these so the feet then pop out and lock in. And once they're in place, screw those in tight. There we are, almost done. Next up is the cassette. On the opposite side of the cassette, we need to choose the right adapter. I'm using a standard road bike, so it's that component there, and we'll need that spacer. Those two things there are for the throw axle adapter kit, as per my other video. We open the skewer up, putting that spacer on there as well. Final box is the power supply. Well, they're the different adapters for whichever country you're in. So universal adapter here, we'll have to choose the Aussie one, which is this one here. Done. We now have an Aussie adapter. And finally, a few bonuses in the packet as well. So we have some voucher codes. We have a 12-month subscription to Elite's My E-Training software. My E-Train, just some data about that, info about their real video series, and also everything else Elite do as well. They do a ton of other stuff here. They've got some pretty cool bottles, bottle cages, and also all the pro teams they support. A common feature on Elite trainers is the little S-bend for the power cable. To measure that up correctly, usually I plug the power in, bit of slack there, and feed it through reverse for the first time. There we go, at the back, and if I was to pull on that, that's not going to fall out mid-session. So we're done and ready to roll. So there we have it, the specs, the unboxing and building of the Direto Smart Trainer. It's all pretty straightforward. I have the manual in my hand for an important reason. There's one number here on page 16 that says 173 millimeters. That's the wheel circumference. If you're using an Elite Smart Trainer such as this one with a head unit on your bike to track laps or other data, you have to set the wheel circumference for speed and distance, or virtual distance I guess, to 173, not 2096 like we're used to, or else your numbers will be all out of whack. Very important. So with all that covered, it's time to get the bike on here and go for a ride. With that hour of power now out of the way, let's head over to DC Rainmaker's analysis tool and have a look at the data we've collected from that. Okay, I've put the Direto up against the PowerTap P1 pedals that I have. They're always very, very good. So first 10 minutes, always an experiment. Out of the box, no calibration whatsoever, no zero offsets, so bit of a separation there. Forget that for now, that's normal. Right here at the 10-minute mark, I did the spin down / calibration. It only takes a few seconds with the My E-Training app on the phone. Once that was done, have a look at this. This is my 20 minutes at 200 watts through here, bumping it up to 220. And again, as we saw with the pre-production version of the Direto, it's brilliant. It really, really tracks well. It's one of the most accurate indoor smart trainers that I've got in the collection, hands down. They say 2.5%. I'd bet it's probably closer to probably 1%, but 2.5, let's go with that. Kicking into some sprints, you can see here the response time kicks straight up. You're always going to be a bit different in the peaks given the sprints are only short, but we've got a separation there of probably 40 watts at about 1100 watts. That's not a problem. The comeback down is the same, just riding along. Another kick sprint there. Small separation between the pedals and the Direto, but again, to be expected. Compared to everything else, this is brilliant. You get what I'm saying here. Into erg mode. Now for the erg mode test, it was 150 watts for 20 seconds, 345 for 20 seconds, back down to 150 watts for 20 seconds. Now 20 seconds is not a real good test for erg mode. I've explained erg mode in another video. Erg mode itself has trouble with humans. Humans are very inefficient in their pedal stroke and they're very sensitive to change. Let me explain what goes on here. So for this session, it doesn't quite hold 150 watts. It's a little bit too low for it, but then when I punch up to 345, it punches up. Doesn't quite bring it back down. So the only criticism I can have for erg mode, it's not bringing the power down at the same cadence to 150 watts. If I was to change gears, yes, but I was trying to keep the same cadence. Erg mode was a bit finicky, but the effort was still there. You can see there when I kick up to 345, it kicks in hard and stabilizes and then kicks in hard again. That's just the way erg mode works. There's always a delay of about 10 seconds before things stabilize in erg mode across all trainers. It's just the way it is. Same thing happens there at about 445 to 450. It kicks in really hard, stabilizes, comes back down, and it just needs to oscillate to stabilize. You can see on the last interval there, it punched up a little high, come back down, and I was as smooth as I could be, and it held the required watts. So this is just how erg mode works. It's not really a failure of the system as such, but erg mode's a bit of a beast, especially when it comes to those shorter intervals. As we saw with the 200 watts at 10 minutes and 220 at 10 minutes, spot on. So just something to be mindful of erg mode for short efforts, maybe go free ride mode. That's what I use for the sprints. And then for the rest of the session, it was a free ride mode on Zwift. So you can see the power accuracy there. It is very, very good. Very good. There's an effort I sped up to about 430 watts or so for just under a minute there. Tracking along very well. A bit of separation for a few seconds there, but you can see once it stabilizes, you can hardly tell the difference. And then just riding along. It's damn good. Given the accuracy of the power meter on the pre-production unit that I had, I thought there might have been a bit of a tweak made to that unit to make it look really good. Well, it wasn't the case. The production unit has the same accuracy and it is brilliant. Just prior to making this video, I put the question out there on the Zwift Riders Facebook page. If anyone has any questions or queries about the trainer they want included in this video, send them through. So here's a list of the questions that I've picked out from the bunch. First of all, calibration on the Direto. Is it required every ride? No. You saw with my data there, I did a single calibration at the start, and from then on it was fine. With the pre-production unit that I have as well, I calibrated that once, and it's been fine for the last 3 weeks. So in the manual itself, it doesn't state how often you have to calibrate. I'm guessing probably once a month, maybe, but that's brilliant. Definitely not every ride. The next question was free hub compatibility. It comes with a Shimano SRAM compatible free hub. If you want Campy, you have to buy an extra add-on, but it is compatible once you get the add-on for Campy. Next up, noise. How noisy is this thing? Well, it's not obnoxiously loud and it's not silent. It sort of sits in between. Let me play a small clip here of a test that I did in this environment, keeping everything the same based on flywheel speed. So as you can hear, not obnoxious, but not silent. It's somewhere in between. It's not too bad. Next question is a fantastic one from Fernando. He asks, on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most positive, does it have that road feeling? This is a really interesting one, and it comes down to my impressions and my interpretations and not real data. Not yet anyway. This is how I answered that one on the forums as well. Look, this is a difficult one, but I'll give it a shot. 1 being sitting on the couch and not doing anything at all. 10 being out on the road, riding on a flat road, enjoying yourself on a bike. So there's our scale parameters. This sits at about a 7. To throw other trainers into the mix for reference there on my scale of 1 to 10, the Le Mans Revolution sits at about a 9. That's buttery smooth. It's beautiful wind up and beautiful spin down. It feels like you're riding on a nice, smooth, flat road. So that's at about a 9 out of 10. Again, this one's around about a 7. Okay, so the Kicker, 7.5. The Neo, 6.5 to 6. That's software controlled as well. So we're talking about the inertia here, the road feel. And I guess down the other end, you'd have the Rev Box, which is probably about a 2. The Bushido, probably around a 3. I'll talk more about this soon. The final question from the forums that I'll pull out here was, is there any lag in delay when you hit the ramps on Zwift? Yeah, there is. About a 2 to 2.5 second lag when I hit the ramp on the London stairs, which really separates the immersion that you have with a smart trainer. You want to hit that hill straight away and attack that hill, and as soon as you're over top, you want that to let go. Whether there needs to be more less latency or more predictability built into Zwift, I'm not sure if that's the case. There'd be a much better experience though if what you saw is what you get, but we'll see what they can do in software in the near future with this. Now onto pricing and availability. Indications are the US, Euro and UK markets will have these around mid-September. The AU market, Australia here in New Zealand, will be October, early November. Pricing wise, $8.99 US, $8.49 Euros, $7.49 UK pounds and $12.99 Aussie dollars. So there it is, almost everything you need to know about the Elite Direto Smart Trainer. I'll link below to DC Rainmaker's deep dive so you can knock yourself out with all the tech details and race perspective as well. Thanks for watching another one of my unbox, build and ride videos of these indoor trainers. Your comments, likes and subscriptions are much appreciated. We'll see you soon.